Hey everyone, Merry Christmas 2018. Just wanted to make this little introduction to this video. A long time coming. It's documenting our family business, Sonnies, and this first section of the video is entitled The Evolution of the Jig. I hope you enjoy. Videos that are about to follow. It's a compilation of stuff that just happened to come out when I was overhauling my tackle, and kind of surprised me. I had somewhat forgotten about these boxes, and I'm going to break down at points because it's very emotional. Means a lot to me. It's where I came from and who I am, and I want to document this history of Sonny's bait and tackle, something my grandparents started years ago. And this little video, the introduction, is going to be an introduction to Sonny's and the history of the jig, the leadhead jig. Just in time for Christmas 2018.
Hey everyone, pardon the unfinished, messy house. Going through tackle here and found some goodies. A little emotional. Riot's helping me get through this. Found this box. Well, not any of those boxes, but this box. Let me try and get it in here. It's an old pal tackle satchel, and Grandma Kistner gave it to me, and just told me it was special, and it is.
Okay, now that I got that box cleaned up and got through that hard part, let's go look at some of that tackle that was in there. So here's a little box. Looks like Grandma Kistner helped me put together and tuck away. Looks like a lot of Uncle Joe's work, possibly storage for Uncle Joe's tackle that he either wasn't using or was bulk surplus stuff, kind of like a lot of stuff I went through in my personal stuff. But we'll kind of run through it here real quick there. Oh, that one's kind of cool. So yeah, the jigs and the history of Sonny's, kind of the old streamer. Those were pretty cool. A Sonny's version of the Roadrunner. sure what the one on the right is, but the one on the left, the orange and black, is Sonny's made for sure, and that one sure looks like Sonny's made, possibly on that one. These were pretty unique, enough to where I had to stop and document this box, as you know, I saw those. I don't know who, where, or when those came from, but in Uncle Joe's box, it's anybody's guess. He had one of everything from everywhere, and if he liked it, he tried to copy it. If not, moved along. Went in the bottom of the box. Some pretty unique heads on these. I don't know if they're just round heads that were tied up, and the little pink ones, kind of, you know, streamerish looking with the tinsel in there. That frog head was kind of caught my eye. I thought maybe it was something they might have made, but it looks molded. But Uncle Joe held on to it for some reason. The streamers, that's a biggie there for, I don't know, pretty unique colors too. Some more streamers. Those are, that's marabou neck, what that stuff was, but it, some more unique colors. That purple guy's a unique head, that little bug looking thing there. Purple one looked like it might have been a drip lead one. Hook looks kind of newer though, so I don't know. The reflectos, and those kind of looked like unique heads. So some older stuff, some newer stuff looks like. And let's take a quick look at these jigs. There's some pretty unique stuff in here. Some old streamers. Looks like a big ice jig. Some ice jigs with hair and feather on them. Some unique looking heads. Could have been, I heard some of the early stuff. They actually made divots in the sand and set the hook in there and dripped lead in there, and those might be some of those, I don't know. Some other cool stuff. That weedless hook on the side was in that other box I went through yesterday. There's some standard Sonnies looking stuff in there, and there's some kind of crazy looking heads. And who's that other guy? There's another Fluger chum there that's going to go in the lure box. Kind of streamer looking things. I don't know if those got split shot crimped on there, if that's just thread built up. Some unique looking stuff there. So standard Sunny stuff. The pink and whites, I think the red thread was supposed to simulate like the gills. Bleeding gills is a big plus in lures and stuff. So and this was what was in the red box. We kind of looked at it a little bit earlier. There's a bunch of streamers in there, and I thought this was Uncle Joe's stuff, but there's a little difference between Uncle Joe and Grandpa's stuff, especially the stuff that they used. And I think a lot of this is what they were trying out at the time. I don't think it's stuff that they used and retired and went on to new stuff. I think it's stuff they used and tried, other short of the standard later day Sonny's issue stuff in there. There's some older stuff, and if you see, a lot of this stuff has the line still tied in the eyelet. I don't know what's with that. There are a bunch of those streamers with line tied in the eyelets. and I think that was a grandpa thing. This might have been grandpa's stuff. A lot of lures in there, and you know, stuff that Uncle Joe didn't have a lot of. Uncle Joe was a jig guy. He'd throw a meps or two, but he was all about the streamers and jigs. Some standard issue looking stuff. Those are the stand-up jig heads, I believe, or they got a flat spot on the head. Again, with the red thread simulating bleeding gills or whatever the deal is with red. I've always heard you can't go wrong with a little red on a lure. Those, there's like a whole series of those things, the bumblebees, and got some in this box. A little bit different there, but there's like a whole series of those jigs where the hook kind of bends up instead of going at a 90 degree angle from the hook shank. So some used stuff. Those are, I don't know if they've been used or just banging around in the box, but now one of the eyes is still painted shut, so maybe it was just bad paint. That white one's still in pretty good shape, and that one got the red thread again, and yeah, some more of those with the like a 45 degree bend on the hook from the shank. This one I thought was interesting. I've seen this before quite a bit in Grandpa and Uncle Joe's stuff. Looks like a Roadrunner head. I'm wondering if we still got that mold around, if that was ours. But has like a trailer hook or behind it, tied to it with some monofilament. Just wrapping up the Tal Box. Most everything's been gone through and documented and put back in the box. Just wanted to point out a little subtlety that Uncle Joe and Sonny's was kind of proud of, that they took the extra step. Uncle Joe liked to epoxy and clear coat the heads after he was done tying them, and that would make them last a long time and preserve them in a box. When you had a pile of them like this, you didn't end up with a bunch of dust and damaged heads in there. So that's what was in this. I just wanted to point out that box I was going through with the dusty jigs. Paint all wore off the heads. Might have been a reason for that. There was one little rubber bug or something in there, and that head looks like it might be one that was coated with epoxy or clear coated, because it stood the test of time. The rest of them not so much. A couple of them fared better than the others. I'm wondering if that bug it wasn't just enough to soften that paint on those heads, and so get them rubber things out of your tackle boxes or cover them good. So there's a lot more history to Sonny's. Can't be contained in 2 boxes. Those are just a couple of them Grandma gave me. Stay tuned. The next video out will be some of the history of Sonny's ice rods, and some of those are buried back there behind my rods, and a lot of them are tucked away, so I got to dig those out and go through them and find them for the next video. Happy holidays, everybody. Enjoy.